I think one of the more vivid memories of mine is participating in the Battle of Santa Cruz, which occurred on October 26, 1942. I was based, and my squadron were based on the USS Hornet. An interesting sidelight to the date October 26, 42 is October 26, 41, when the Hornet was commissioned. And of course, by simple arithmetic, she remained in commission for exactly 1 year. We were launched on October 26, 1942, in the morning. As I remember, it was about 8:30 or 9 o'clock. But you'll have to remember this is some time ago, and I cannot be too accurate on times and dates. As we proceeded with the squadron towards the enemy, above us was the same, approximately the same number of Japanese planes proceeding to the Hornet. We must have been so close to the Hornet, to the Japanese people, that we hardly were able to reach 10,000 feet before the Japanese carriers were in sight. And all of a sudden, ahead of us, appeared the Zeros. And how we ever got there, for the life of me, I don't know, because apparently they'd lost a lot of their good pilots, and any good pilots would have shot the whole squadron down. But as it was, the only man I lost in my squadron was Phil Gray, who incidentally came from Cherrydale, Maine. And we went into a cloud, and on emerging from the other side, I didn't have the wingman. He was gone. Well, we made our attack, and all the way down with Zeros trailing us, but fortunately they simply were not up to the character of previous Zero pilots. It was very fortunate for us that they were not. Upon coming out of our dives and heading back to the Hornet, we were under almost a severe attack from our own forces, who at that time were still under attack from the Japanese. And I can well remember one of our cruisers, anti-aircraft cruisers, which looked like an exploding skyrocket firing AA at us. So I had to retire, and the recognition signal for the day, on an even day, which of course it was, October the 26th, was to make 2 left-handed turns, dipping your left wing repeatedly. Well, we finally got up to the Hornet, and of course we couldn't land. She was on fire, heavy smoke pouring from her. So we returned to the Enterprise. And some of us had gone into the water, but most of us made it to the Enterprise and landed on the Enterprise, which in turn had been hit. And normally there are 9 landing wires on board a carrier deck. Today, after the hit, there were only 2 that were available, because right in the middle of the flight deck was this gaping hole. And I can remember landing and looking, as you come up the groove to land on board the ship, you do not look at the deck at all. You look at the landing signal officer, or you did in those days. Now, of course, they have electronic means to get you aboard. Well, when the landing signal officer gave me the cut, I remember looking up to land the plane, and there's this big hole in front of me. Well, fortunately, I caught number 1 wire. And then we had to taxi around this hole in the deck, which was a pretty hazardous operation, as we had to put 1 wheel into the scupper, which is a trough on the side of the deck to get rainwater on. to go around this hole. Well, fortunately, all of us got aboard, or the ones that had arrived at the Enterprise did. And that later on in the day, Fred Bates, a member of my squadron, and myself were sent into an island with the news of the sinking of the Hornet to carry to Admiral Halsey, whose headquarters were at New Caledonia. By this time, it was getting close to night, and as we approached this island, once again, it was still an even day. We made our signals, but apparently our Marines on this island were not familiar with it. We were under attack again, Fred Bates and I. But somehow we got in there, spent the night, and the next day went down to New Caledonia, carrying this envelope with the news of the sinking of the Hornet to Admiral Halsey. Shortly after that, I and my squadron returned back to the United States. I consider this one of the important events in my lifetime. That's it.
That's for giving us such a good example of citizenship.